Howdy YouTube family, it's Bolt SRNA coming to you again with another day's topic. Today I wanted to just have a short little video that's kind of funny and goofy that inspired me from another person's YouTube channel. He's a med student who had did a video about the 7 different personality types you meet in med school, and I thought that was kind of funny, and I realized that CRNA school has similar parallels. So I wanted to do a quick video to show you guys the 6 personality types that you'll meet in CRNA school. All right, so the first one, the adrenaline junkie. This guy or girl is the one who was probably like a paramedic first before they became a nurse. They became a nurse and ended up going to the ICU and then training into like helicopter flight nursing. They, a lot of times they were in the military beforehand, so they were like on the forward operating bases in the military, and they'll tell you stories in class about how they were 14,000 feet up, and with a butter knife and a straw and some scotch tape, they intubated that soldier and kept him going. So they've always got really entertaining stories and stuff in class. These guys are very confident and they're opinionated. When you're working with them on a group project or studying or something like that, they're very specific on like, this is it, this is the truth, these are all the details. And if you cross them, you better have a good reason for why you're saying something different from what they're saying. And they're just as likely to kick your ass as they are to patch you up and heal you. And in their free time, these are the guys who like to cliff jump, skydive, they like to try hang gliding out. They're adrenaline junkies. They do it for the thrill. They're in anesthesia because you're getting in there and every day you're intubating patients and you're pushing hardcore drugs and you're keeping people on the bottom level of life just closest to death as they can be, and then bringing them back up, and that gives them the thrill that they like, and so they go into it for that reason. All right, personality number 2, it's the know-it-all. Now, I think all medical professional degrees that are like graduate, doctorate level and stuff, they're gonna have this person in their class. The one who loves to be right, who loves to know it all. They're the one who during lecture is typing like crazy. They're putting down every word the professor says. They're looking at the PowerPoint and they're noticing that he used is instead of a in some kind of form of the sentence, and they'll raise their hand and correct the professor in class and say that's a grammatical error on your slide. They're the ones who, after class ends, they go home and they email the professor to ask them more questions about what we talked about in class, and then they'll send out a group email to all the other students to let us all know they've contacted the professor and they've clarified whatever that didn't probably need to be clarified. They'll have it clarified for all of us to know. So you'll get multiple emails from this student on top of your professors, just with like constant updates and clarifications. This is your friend that you go out to eat after a test and everyone made, an 85 or, a 90, and they're all celebrating and they're like, woohoo, we did it. And they're like crying and upset and they want to go home because they made a 92, and that's underneath their knowledge base level, and they can't believe that they made a 92, and that's so terrible of them, and they can be very dramatic. These are also your classmates that you go over to their place to study and you see they have a giant whiteboard in their living room or bedroom, and they write things on it just so that they can cross it off at the end of the day, so that they can like check the boxes and know they've done everything that they had to do for that day. Oh, and when you're on group projects with these people, just God help you, because group projects with the know-it-alls, it's bad because they want to turn every single minor project you do into like a peer-reviewed journal research article that you're going to submit and speak about at the White House or something. Everything they do has to be to 110% maximum level. No matter if it's a minor assignment you're supposed to be submitting, it always has to be so complex and so perfect, and you get pulled into that with them if you're in a group project with them. All right, personality type number 3. This is the natural talent. That's what I like to call them. These are the ones that they could have been anything in life. They could have been a dentist, a lawyer, a business executive, CRNA school, whatever. For whatever reason, they ended up choosing CRNA, but they could have done anything. And they're just naturally good at lots of different things. They have a lot of different widespread talents in a lot of different areas. When you're in lecture with them, like we are most of the week, you'll sit there, all of us have our laptops out and usually typing notes or looking PowerPoints going along with the professor, and you'll notice these guys are the ones who have Trulia or Zillow or something like that pulled up, so they're like searching for homes in the area even though they're not in the market for buying a home. They'll do something like that. They'll have their Facebook or Twitter pulled up, social media going. They'll have the PowerPoint lecture here, and they'll have all these little boxes going. They'll be half listening to the professor, half taking notes, and doing all these other things, and they still make good grades. These are the guys who don't really stress out much before a test. They don't stress too much about studying. Of course, everyone in these kind of degrees, you have to study. That's the only way to get by. But they learn a lot from lecture. They can go to lecture, they can listen and hear, go home, study a little bit. They do fine. They don't stress out about grades. They usually are A and B type students, but they don't stress about making those Bs. If you know they made a B, they made a B. They don't have anything to prove to anybody. They kind of know how smart they are, and they don't care about proving with all A's. These are the guys who will go out the weekend before the test and go out and have fun with their friends or go do something cool. Maybe go visit family or something like that. They don't stress too much before a test, and usually they're pretty popular. They get along with everybody. People usually like them, but they can be annoying if other people who are struggling really hard in that class see that they're not working that hard. They might resent that. So you have to be careful with the natural talent people. They can actually get on people's nerves by being just naturally talented. The biggest downside with the natural talent people that you'll probably notice is sometimes they get their hands in too many things at one time, extracurricular things, and they take things too casually, and something might sneak up on them and take them by surprise, and they may not do so well on something because they didn't go as far into the studying or what they should have done for the project or the test. And so every once in a while it might bite them in the ass, but usually they do pretty well without it. All right, personality type number 4, the hot one. Now this is that guy or girl in your class that looks like they were a model before they started CRNA school. They have genetically perfect cheekbones and beautiful eyes and beautiful hair and just beautiful skin. Everything is just awesome about them physically, aesthetically. And they dress usually really nice. They wear those fancy blazers to school, or they have, if it's a girl, they wear like the newest, Manolo Blahnik high heels, those expensive high heels that women buy. They'll have those kind of types of fashion. These guys could have been trophy wives or trophy husbands or whatever, but they chose to go on to school, and they're smart enough to know that they want to go on and do something else with career-based with their life and not just look good. But you know that they could have been a trophy wife or husband, and they know that. And you want to think that they're not that intelligent. Like when you first meet them, you think, well, they just can't be that smart. If they're that attractive, they have to be kind of ignorant. So you talk to them and you develop a relationship or friendship with them, and you realize, damn, they're intelligent too. Like, how do they get all this unfair life traits? Why do they get to be so beautiful, stylish, and intelligent? So these guys are likely to have luxury vehicles. They're flashy. They like flashy stuff and nice things, and they probably have a BMW or a Mercedes. They might have come from money. Their parents may have had money, and they usually are used to a certain level of lifestyle. It's a upper class lifestyle. What always got me about these guys is, working in the ICU for some years, I've done some disgusting things. I've handled disgusting things. I have done disgusting things to people in the name of science. It's all been necessary and had to been done, but you just wonder, how do these people who are so beautiful and so put together and have perfect hair and expensive, beautiful clothes, I just don't envision them on somebody's chest doing chest compressions, and the patient's just died and they've defecated on themselves, and now it's on your pant leg, and then their OG tube is popped open from the pressure in the abdomen you're doing with chest compressions, and the gastric juices are pumping out of the OG tube into your lap where the OG tube's sitting, and you're just thinking, and you're sweating and disgusting, and you're thinking, I could never see this person doing that, but they have. So one of my favorite things about these guys are usually, hot people run in a pack usually. So they usually have hot friends or a hot significant other. And you can ask them to introduce you to their hot friends and try and get connected in with them if you're single, of course. And so sometimes having these guys as your good friends, they can be the hookup you need. Personality number 5, the Florence Nightingale. So this is gonna be your nurse that's like the classic nurse. What you think of in your mind's eye when you hear the word nurse. They are the type who probably would wear that white cap that you used to wear back in the 1950s if you were still allowed to wear those. These are the nurses who are very OCD. They are very regulated and they love rules and they love protocols. They're the nurses who on the unit, if you work in the ICU, you know they memorize every protocol. They know when you start a certain drip. They know how many milligrams per kilogram each drip is supposed to go between. And they love these rules and regulations, and they like you to love them too. These are the nurses who, when they were back at working at the bedside before school, they were the ones who would get all their work done as fast as they can so that they could get a minute to go sit with the patient and maybe hold their hand or like comb their hair. They were the type of nurses who took great pride in the fact that when you'd walk into their patient's room, everything would be in its place. There would be nothing in the floor. All the IV lines are lined up just the way that they're supposed to be done. The patient is tucked in nice and tightly into the bed, and everything is safe and proper in that room. And these are the nurses that, if you're connected to them on Facebook and stuff, you'll see every morning when they do their morning Bible devotional that they'll post the Bible verse for like that morning's devotional. I'm a Christian too, and I read the Bible as well, but I don't often post things like that on social media, not every morning at least. But they're the types who almost every morning you'll see like their inspirational quote or Bible verse for that day. These guys are groomed and designed to become future professors and researchers and leadership roles in their field. They like rules, they like regulations, and they have no problem enforcing them on other people. And we need Florence Nightingale nurses, so it's great that we have them. But they can be a challenge sometimes to be in class with. The 6th type of personality that I'll talk about today is the oddball. This is the one that's kind of like the loner in your class. You're not really sure why they're there. They don't really talk much to anybody. They don't stay after class and involve themselves in any extracurricular stuff. They don't go out to eat with you guys after a test when everybody's celebrating, or on a weekend when the class is getting together for some function or whatever. They don't go. If you've got like a anesthesia conference or whatever that everyone has to go to and meet up at, it's usually a pretty social event where you network and things like that. This will be your student who kind of sticks off to the side. They're not really interested in networking. They're not interested in mingling or getting to know other people. You know, their reason for being in anesthesia seems kind of like a mystery to a lot of people. You're not sure what they're doing there or if they really want to be there. When you finally get to the point of talking to them and breaking down those barriers and figuring out more about them, you usually realize they're a pretty cool person, but they're just really introverted. You know, they are usually a little odd too. Like you'll find out this person is a published author, or maybe they make soap in their basement and they sell it online, or they might have a really big passion for their garden out back and they have a huge vegetable garden and they invest a lot of time and energy into gardening that, and they like maybe can their vegetables. So they're just strange. Like they usually have quirky habits and they're usually pretty quiet, but there's typically at least one of those kind of people in, I'd say, every anesthesia group. All right, guys, those are my 6 personality types for CRNA school. If you have any comments or thoughts, or you thought this was funny, or you want me to do more goofy videos like this or more interview type videos, just leave comments below, and that's Bolt out.